Good evening, everyone, and thank you for kind introduction. But before I begin, I do like to applaud Economic Times for bringing live the Global Business Summit again. That's the kind of forum we all need right now worldwide to really lift and push the momentum and morale and motivation of our leadership everywhere. That's what really we need to do. And so thank you for doing it. Um, I just like to tell everyone I see myself a global citizen, a global leader, and I do not see globalization going backward. Beside humanitarian and someone who loves to coach and drive business forward. So, would you please move my next slide? Next one, please. Um, we are all seeing what we are going through right now. The industries have suffered deep wounds and will be required some sort of a reset. And I'm seeing that the multiple companies I'm involved with. We are also witnessing, obviously, everyone is feeling it, a global health crisis that has showed us the cracks in the foundation of global economies as well as national economies and the economic system. And what I see, as always in the companies, the communication, community, collaboration, and connections will be the cornerstone of our revival. And I'll speak to each of these in a second. So before we go, next slide, please. So here, what I would like to share with you that with uncertainty around the world, one thing is very clear, that we have once in a century opportunity to reshape the future of our national and global economies and the companies. And it'll start from actually corporations and company leadership. So as we all know, many industries have suffered deep wounds and may never be the same. And history shows there's a great opportunity on the other side when we go through this painful process we are already been through. And I personally believe the worst is behind us. Opportunity for business, industries, governments, and even economies to reset, reevaluate the procedures, the entire lines of business we are in, what worked, what doesn't work. The ability of business and economies to adjust, adapt, and pivot gives me the confidence. And I'm seeing it how many companies are pivoting and they're adjusting their whole mode of operations. Now, if you look at the majority of the people being polled by Economic Times, the confidence level is pretty high. The resilience is still, by the way, India comes second, right behind China in confidence level, that we will come back. We will come back even stronger. And to that point, rapid acceleration of digital transformation. Again, India leads that. Shareholder capitalism and public-private partnership will drive the way forward. And I'll speak to that in a second. What do I mean by shareholder and public partnership? So next slide, please. So this global health crisis, it's unfortunate that it took a global health crisis to show the cracks in the foundation of economies worldwide. And by the way, no country was spared. Even the largest economy of the world, the United States, we have seen in the US so many cracks, and I hope the next leadership will actually start to address those. So it's not just the developing world, China, India. China is not even developing, but India or many other places. The pandemic abruptly reminded us how interconnected our world is. And I really believe that, and we're not going back. And the intricate nature of our supply chains and sales channels, which cannot be reversed. In India, the reduced foreign investment led to significant market capitalization decline across all industries outside of biopharma and telecom. A health crisis provided visibility into how disproportionately vulnerable lower income individuals are in our society. Right here in US, I'm deeply involved in some of the cause we're working on. African Americans, Hispanics, particularly, they were 6 times worse off than the male population or white population in the country. That tells you, and India is no different. The caste system or the inequality has very unequally affected our people. Now, growth prospects in least developed countries have gone from 5% before COVID to negative territory. The economic impact of COVID 19 has been very detrimental and in trillions of dollars worldwide. Next slide, please. So, when we talk about all these issues, the problems, how do we come out of it? That's what leaders are here for to talk during your summit. And as I started by saying, connections, communities we serve, collaboration we have had within the national boundaries and the global environment, and communication, trust. We talk about trust at the national leadership, trust at the company CEO leadership level. These are the 4 cornerstones. And all qualities of these 4 C's are very strong, perhaps stronger than before COVID. So next slide, please. Let's start with connection. What do I mean by connection? The tech enablement scaled or necessity, there's no turning back. Whether we talk about analog institutions were forced to pivot, zooming into digital transformation. How many people realize that this COVID has done some positive, it's not all negative. Digital transformation, which everybody talked about it, has been accelerated, and we have gained as much progress as perhaps it would have taken 5 to 10 years for some companies. So there's some positive out of it. In India, just as an example, 72% of the people are working from home, and it had changed how consumers spend, how consumers buy, and how business should pivot. Online spend has gone up to 30%. Black Friday in US or the Cyber Monday in US have shown up that the brick and mortar big companies, they have to think very differently. People are going online and people are doing most of the research online. That takes me to the next topics, next slide, on community. So if we talk about communities, short-term economies have stifled societal benefits, and that's where the globalization has been blamed. We cannot afford to leave some geographies we serve and the key constituencies behind. Government and businesses must become social stewards and move forward with a system which is built-in compensation mechanism for those who benefit the least. What do I mean by that? Companies who are getting raw material from Africa, South America, India, China, you cannot just keep drawing in. It's like a bank account. You cannot keep drawing without depositing. And deposit to me is reskilling, reinvesting, and taking care of the community so they're thriving, they're flourishing, so that they can continue to support the global supply chain. Training and reskilling, I can talk for next half hour, but I will not. So corporations must work with universities and the communities, not just for the graduate or bachelor's or master's program, but vocational training. We can learn a lot from Germans, what they did, their apprenticeship program, what have you. We need all kind of skill set. Next slide, please. That takes me to collaboration. I think the lifeblood of the global economy. So with international power dynamic constantly shifting from United States to China to India and everywhere else in between, we must maintain consistent communication between nations and regularly redefine international rules. What do I mean by that? China has been called as an emerging economy. Is really it? No, China is actually moved out of the underdeveloped economy. So the rules which apply to Germany, the OECD countries, United States must also apply. While India has pockets where have done very well, but most of the countries still in a development mode, so rules should apply. So international rules. Newfound visibility into the weakness of our global network. We are currently at a regulatory tipping point, and we can create more level playing field by working together to rethink outdated policies of world, world economic, world business model. So for business, where I belong, action in boardrooms around the world to stand up for supply chains, for collaboration strategies that involve more diverse and flexible network. So next slide on communication, which is extremely important, especially times like this. Communication from the top, bottoms up, very, very important. So corporate leaders have stepped up in a big way to tactically respond to the changing dynamics across their businesses and to instill confidence in the employees and the communities we serve. At a company level, confidence from employees around profit and demand are at all-time high. Even with this pandemic we are suffering through, because people believe we have done a lot of work during this difficult period. Next slide, please. So when we look at uh, economies and businesses have changed forever, I really believe so. And things will not look the same when this is all behind us, which will be soon. From a business and economic standpoint, we are at a better point to regroup. So the globalization genie, in my opinion, is out of the bottle. You cannot put this genie back in the bottle. And it'll take more than a global pandemic to undo a sophisticated global supply chain we have built around the world and the widespread benefits we have gained. India has gained, China has gained, US has gained, everybody has gained. People have gained. To reinvigorate and realign global trade, businesses and governments must collaborate, implement long-term cause-based, not money-based, the cause-based. Cause-based means ESG, environmental, social governance, putting resources back in the communities we serve. Spread the gain, the benefits of the globalization more uniformly than we had. It has been a one-way stream, and that's why globalization has been blamed. It's not the globalization, it's how we executed the globalization. So we have once in a century opportunity to reshape the future, and future is in our hands. I really believe so. The future of our economies and the people involved in that future. So connection through digital transformation, stakeholder capitalism. That means stakeholders are not just the shareholders, stakeholders are the employees, customers, societies, the whole infrastructure around us. Those are the stakeholders. Corporations must collaborate not only on national level, but on a global level as we used to. We should do even more. Business and society to open the transparent communication of trust. Trust, trust, trust. We all believe national leaders like Prime Minister Modi and national leaders in China, United States, and everywhere else. We have seen the loss of trust from the President of the United States, and we believe the President-elect will reinstill that, the global responsibility United States has towards other countries and other way around. So with that, I remain far more optimistic than I was a year before. I'm healthier. I see my colleagues healthier. They have all taken control of their own health. In fact, the session before me, I was listening. Nation states and the global economy is strong and will be stronger. Our global supply chain has renewed focus. Our collaboration is going to be stronger. Innovation is happening everywhere in between. So with that, I would like to bring last word, 4 C's: communication, communities, collaboration, and communication and connections. With those four, I feel very positive.
Thank you so much indeed, Mr. Paliwal. I think the air of optimism and with which you shared, I think there's so much more to look forward to in the coming years. And the way you concluded with the 4 Cs, I think it was completely a befitting session filled with a lot of dynamism. So I can't help but thank you so much for joining us at this edition of ETGBS. And thank you for sharing your thoughts with us all.